Good evening and welcome to DeKoder. I'm Nidhi Razdan, and what a day it has been in Delhi. The BJP has come back to power in the national capital after 27 years, routing the Aam Aadmi Party and Arvind Kejriwal, who also lost his own seat today. We'll be looking at a detailed analysis of the numbers shortly, but first, let's go across to the BJP headquarters where Prime Minister Modi is speaking.
पूरी दिल्ली का विकास। साथियों, दिल्ली के इस विजय उत्सव के साथ साथ आज अयोध्या के मिल्कीपुर में भी भाजपा को शानदार जीत मिली है। हर वर्ग ने भारी संख्या में भाजपा के लिए मतदान किया है, अभूतपूर्व विजय दिया है। साथियों, आज देश तुष्टीकरण नहीं बल्कि भाजपा के संतुष्टीकरण की पॉलिसी को चुन रहा है। साथियों, दिल्ली में धरना प्रदर्शन की राजनीति, टकराव और प्रशासनिक अनिश्चितता ने दिल्ली के लोगों का बहुत नुकसान किया। आज दिल्ली के विकास के सामने से एक बड़ी रुकावट आप सब दिल्ली वासियों ने दूर कर दी है। सोचिए कैसी राजनीति रही होगी, कैसी सोच होगी इन लोगों की। इन लोगों ने मेट्रो का काम आगे बढ़ाने से रोका। इन आपदा वालों ने झुग्गी वालों को घर देने से रोका। इन आपदा वालों ने आयुष्मान भारत योजना का लाभ भी दिल्ली के लोगों को मिलने नहीं दिया। अब दिल्ली के लोगों ने साफ संदेश दिया है, गवर्नेंस। और साथियों, दिल्ली ने देखा है पहले का जमाना, गवर्नेंस ये नौटंकी का मंच नहीं है। गवर्नेंस ये प्रचार का मंच नहीं है। गवर्नेंस ये प्रपंच का मंच नहीं है। अब जनता ने स्थिर और डबल इंजन की सरकार को चुना। हम पूरी गंभीरता से धरातल पर रहकर काम करेंगे। हम दिल्ली के लोगों की सेवा में दिन रात एक कर देने वाले लोग। साथियों, पूरा देश जानता है कि जहां एनडीए है वहां सुशासन है, विकास है, विश्वास है। एनडीए का हर कैंडिडेट, हर जनप्रतिनिधि लोगों के हित में काम करता है। देश में एनडीए को जहां भी जनादेश मिला है, हमने उस राज्य को विकास की नई ऊंचाई पर पहुंचाया है। और इसलिए भाजपा को लगातार जीत मिल रही है। लोग हमारी सरकारों को दूसरी बार, तीसरी बार चुन रहे हैं। उत्तराखंड, हरियाणा, उत्तर प्रदेश, एमपी में, गुजरात, गोवा, महाराष्ट्र, बिहार में, असम, अरुणाचल, मणिपुर में, हर राज्य में हमें दोबारा सत्ता मिली है। साथियों, यहां दिल्ली के बगल में यूपी है। एक जमाने में उत्तर प्रदेश की कानून व्यवस्था कितनी बड़ी चुनौती थी और सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज नारी शक्ति के लिए होता था। यूपी में दिमागी बुखार का कहर बरसता था, लेकिन हमने इसका अंत करने के लिए संकल्पबद्ध होकर काम किया। आप याद करिए, महाराष्ट्र में हर साल सूखे के कारण हमारे अन्नदाताओं पर कितना बड़ा संकट आता था, लेकिन हमारी सरकार आने के बाद हमने जल युक्त शिविर जैसे अभियान चलाकर किसानों तक पानी पहुंचाया। हरियाणा में किसी को बिना खर्ची, बिना पर्ची के सरकारी नौकरी नहीं मिलती थी, लेकिन आज बीजेपी ने वहां सुशासन का नया मॉडल स्थापित कर रही है। पूर्वोत्तर में हमारी सरकारों ने वहां के लोगों को विकास की नई धारा से जोड़ा है। एक जमाना था जब गुजरात में पानी का इतना बड़ा संकट था, खेती किसानी मुश्किल थी, लेकिन आज वही गुजरात एग्रीकल्चर पावर हाउस बनकर उभरा है। आप याद करिए, नीतीश जी के पहले बिहार किस हालत में था। बिहार में नीतीश जी को अवसर मिला। बदलाव भी तभी आया जब एनडीए की सरकार आई। ऐसे ही आंध्र प्रदेश में चंद्रबाबू नायडू गारू ने अपना ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड साबित किया है। ये सारे उदाहरण बताते हैं कि एनडीए यानी विकास की गारंटी। एनडीए यानी सुशासन की गारंटी। साथियों, सुशासन का लाभ गरीब को भी होता है और मिडिल क्लास को भी होता है। इस बार दिल्ली में गरीब, झुग्गी में रहने वाले मेरे भाई बहन, हमारे मिडिल क्लास ने भाजपा को जबरदस्त समर्थन दिया है। चाहे कोई भी प्रोफेशन हो, हर वर्ग के बहुत सारे प्रोफेशनल्स हमारी पार्टी में काम कर रहे हैं। और इसका सबसे बड़ा कारण यह है कि हमारी पार्टी ने हमेशा मिडिल क्लास को अपनी प्राथमिकता पर रखा है। यही दिल्ली में हमने सबसे पहले मेट्रो का काम शुरू किया। हमने अन्य शहरों में एयरपोर्ट, मेट्रो और अर्बन डेवलपमेंट के प्रोजेक्ट पर काम किया। हमारी योजनाओं में बहुत ज्यादा फायदा मिडिल क्लास को मिलता है। स्टार्टअप इंडिया जैसे अभियानों के कारण छोटे शहरों के लोग अपने सपनों को पूरा कर रहे हैं। आयुष्मान भारत और जन औषधि केंद्रों के कारण देश के करोड़ों लोगों को अच्छी स्वास्थ्य सुविधाएं मिल रही है। साथियों, देश की नारी शक्ति का आशीर्वाद हमारा सबसे बड़ा रक्षा कवच है। और आज एक बार फिर नारी शक्ति ने दिल्ली में मुझे अपना आशीर्वाद दिया है। चाहे उड़ीसा हो, महाराष्ट्र हो या हरियाणा हो, हमने हर राज्य में नारी शक्ति से किए हर वादे को पूरा किया है। आज इन राज्यों में करोड़ों माताओं बहनों को हमारी योजनाओं का लाभ मिल रहा है। मैं दिल्ली की मातृशक्ति से भी कहता हूं, चुनाव में उनसे किया वादा जरूर पूरा किया जाएगा। ये मोदी की गारंटी और मोदी की गारंटी यानी गारंटी पूरा होने की गारंटी। साथियों, टूटती सड़कें, कूड़े के ढेर, सीवर ओवरफ्लो और प्रदूषित हवा, दिल्ली की जनता इन सब समस्याओं से त्रस्त रही है। अब यहां बनने वाली भाजपा सरकार दिल्ली को विकास की ऊर्जा के साथ एक आधुनिक शहर बनाएगी। साथियों, पहली बार दिल्ली एनसीआर के हर प्रदेश में बीजेपी का शासन आया है। आजादी के बाद ये पहली बार हुआ है। राजस्थान में, यूपी में, हरियाणा में, ऐसे पड़ोस के हर राज्य में भाजपा की सरकारें हैं। ये बहुत ही सुखद संयोग है। जरा इनको नींद आ रही है, तबीयत खराब है, जरा डॉक्टर देख लीजिए। इस कार्यकर्ता को पानी पिला दीजिए, शायद तबीयत ठीक नहीं है, इनको जरा संभालिए। हाँ, नहीं, वो थोड़े अनईजी लग रहे हैं। हाँ, पानी पिलाइए, थोड़े अनईजी लग रहे हैं। साथियों, इन सभी क्षेत्रों में आजादी के बाद पहली बार एक साथ भाजपा की सरकारें हैं। इस एक संयोग से दिल्ली और पूरे एनसीआर में तरक्की के अनगिनत रास्ते खुलने जा रहे हैं। हमारी कोशिश होगी कि आने वाले समय में इस पूरे क्षेत्र में मोबिलिटी और इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पर ढेर सारा काम हो और इस क्षेत्र के नौजवानों को भी तरक्की के नए नए अवसर मिले। साथियों, हम देख रहे हैं आज देश तेजी से शहरीकरण की ओर बढ़ रहा है। पहले के समय की सरकारों ने शहरीकरण को बोझ माना, इसे चुनौती समझा। उन लोगों ने शहरों को सिर्फ पर्सनल वेल्थ कमाने का जरिया बना दिया। लेकिन मेरा मानना है अर्बनाइजेशन एक अपॉर्चुनिटी है। अर्बनाइजेशन गरीबों को, वंचितों को सशक्त करने का भी एक माध्यम है। दिल्ली भारत का गेटवे है और इसलिए इसे देश का सर्वश्रेष्ठ अर्बन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर मिलना ही चाहिए। दिल्ली के लोगों ने हाउसिंग सेक्टर में हमारा काम देखा है। लोगों ने सड़कों के लिए हमारी परफॉर्मेंस देखी है। अब हम दिल्ली वालों की आकांक्षाओं को पूरा करने में पूरी शक्ति से जुट जाएंगे।
Prime Minister Modi's victory speech there at the BJP headquarters this evening on what has been a phenomenal day for his party in its comeback in Delhi after nearly 3 decades. Well, we have a terrific panel joining us tonight to take us through these numbers, what all of this means, not just for Delhi, but for national politics as well. We have Tina Sharma of the BJP joining us in the studio once again. We have Dorab Sopariwala, who's going to take us through all the numbers and the constituencies and break it down for us really region-wise. Senior journalists Javed Ansari and Nalini Singh are joining us tonight. We also have Shivam Vij coming shortly to the studio here. Thank you very much to everyone for being with us. Before I go to the panel, let's just take a quick look at the results, because I believe now all the results are actually in, and you can see what a change it has been from 2020, which was the last election that the AAP had swept with 62 out of 70 seats. Today, the BJP was up 40 seats, finally finishing at 48. The AAP down 40 seats, exactly the same number, finishing at just 22. The Congress once again at 0. But there is a bigger story at play here, which is the damage that the Congress has done in as many as 14 seats to the Aam Aadmi Party. And that is something we'll talk about with our guests as well. Let's also take a look at the big losers first in this election, because not only did the AAP lose Delhi, but Arvind Kejriwal lost the New Delhi seat as well, a seat which incidentally he defeated Sheila Dikshit in 12 years ago. So today it was her son Sandeep Dikshit who played spoiler, and the votes that that he got actually took away from Arvind Kejriwal winning that seat. So that's an interesting talking point. Sandeep Dikshit may have lost this election, but he also ensured that so did Arvind Kejriwal in that seat. The other big losers from the Aam Aadmi Party included former Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia. Again, he had changed his seat from Padparganj to Jangpura this time, and was generally seen as someone who had done good work in the field of education. He spent 18 months behind bars, if you remember, in the alleged liquor policy scam, and he lost the Jangpura seat. Who are the other big losers from the AAP? There is Satyendra Jain, again a former minister and someone who has spent quite a bit of time in jail on again corruption allegations. He was leading for the longest time, but it took a turn later and he ultimately lost his seat in Delhi. And Saurabh Bhardwaj was a surprise loss for the AAP, someone who was generally seen as a popular MLA in Greater Kailash, who was generally believed to have done good work, but he lost. He was again leading for the longest time, and once again, it turned later on in the election. Incidentally, Chief Minister Atishi was also trailing, but ended up being one of the winners today, just about in a very closely fought contest in the Kalkaji seat. So she has won. She's defeated Ramesh Biduri of the BJP, who has been one of its faces in Delhi. So that was she's one of the big winners. And let's just take a look at who some of the other big winners are. Vijinder Gupta from the BJP winning his seat, and potentially one of those who could be the next Chief Minister of Delhi. We don't know who the next Chief Minister of Delhi will be, but these are some of the big names from the BJP, including Parvesh Singh Verma, who defeated Arvind Kejriwal, the son of the former Delhi Chief Minister Sahib Singh Verma. Could he possibly be a Chief Minister for Delhi? We'll have to see how that plays out. Kailash Gehlot, someone who was the Transport Minister in the Aam Aadmi Party government, who jumped ship to the BJP on the eve of this election, he won after switching seats from his seat in Bijwasan in South Delhi. So these are some of the key winners. And now we come to vote share, and this is where the story gets really interesting. I'd like to bring Dorab in over here. Dorab, what are these numbers actually telling us, particularly, I mean, very simplistically, if we were to add up the AAP and the Congress vote share, would this have actually made a difference then in the results?
Obviously, if you have 50 against 47, it's got to make a difference. As you said, 12 or 14 seats would have changed. If 14 seats change, 22 becomes 36 and the others become 34. So, as I said, what Benjamin Franklin said 250 years ago, if you don't hang together, most assuredly, you will hang separately, which is what's happened.
Just to bring in our analysts in on this, Shivam, with your first thoughts on how this result has played out and the bigger message that it has sent, firstly for Delhi and for AAP. Here is a party that literally sort of came out of nowhere, part of an anti-corruption movement during Manmohan Singh's time as Prime Minister. And in the last 12 years, it made a spectacular and stunning rise, winning not just Delhi, but a big state like Punjab. And today, Arvind Kejriwal himself has lost his seat. There are implications for AAP, there are implications for the BJP and for national politics. I mean, first for Delhi, what does it mean for Delhi and for AAP?
I think with a 44% vote share after 2 terms, after 10 years in power, many full governments cannot survive a third election. In fact, this is their 4th election if you count 2013. Yeah. And I think the Aam Aadmi Party has lost quite respectively. I think there was, of course, a lot of anti-incumbency, which is a natural thing in Indian politics. But also, they were not allowed to perform or govern, particularly in the last few years. Delhi was always a half state. But with the Delhi Services Bill, with bureaucrats being answerable to the centre, we saw videos of Aam Aadmi Party ministers begging bureaucrats to let some work happen, I heard this story today of an AAP MLA candidate campaigning somewhere, meeting members of an RWA in South Delhi. And the members of the RWA kept saying, you couldn't get this done, you couldn't get that done. And he said, I wanted to do a lot, but the BJP doesn't let me govern, doesn't let me get things done for you. So people actually said, if that is the problem, then we might as well get rid of you and get BJP because we have to get things done. And that was the sort of main sentiment for the voters who have switched, and not many have switched. They're down from about 52% or so to 44. I think it could have been worse actually.
So interesting that you're saying it's a respectable loss. It's not, you don't see it as a rout or a decimation in that sense. Let's just bring up that map for a moment, if we could, on how the Delhi map has changed from last time to this time. It was, Dorab, as you can see.
People don't think of votes, they think of seats. And in seats, the decimation, the fact there's a 2% difference in vote, what people think of is seats. Just look at the difference.
And look at how the map has changed.
Just look at it. It's almost become almost entirely red from being almost entirely green.
But then what does the map tell you? That the BJP couldn't have pulled off this win, could it, without support from across groups, right? Not just the middle class.
Yes, and as Shivam said, the middle class, they had the budget, and also the fact that nothing gets done all the time. There's bickering. At least this is one way of stop the bickering. Vote the party in power, which is the party in the center. So I must say it's a very good tactic. If I were in the center, I'd do the same. Make it impossible for the other guy. So the people say we're not getting anything done, and we want things done. After all, that's what people have begun to expect. People don't want non-performance, whatever be your excuse. So this excuse wasn't acceptable.
I think while it is true that obviously the working of the AAP government was hampered clearly by the centre and by these frequent run-ins with the LG and the way the centre handled everything, Javed Ansari, are there areas where they actually could have done more, which was in their purview, and at some level did they end up taking the voters of Delhi for granted?
Yes, I think there is more than an element of truth to that. I, I think the biggest dent that happened, the biggest knock that AAP has taken is to their image. AAP came onto the scene positioning itself as a party with a difference, Mr. Kejriwal, a leader with a difference. And now it turns out that they were no different. Yes, Shivam makes a very valid point when he says it's a respectable loss in terms of percentage, certainly not in terms of seats. And there is enough ground there for them to build on that. But that will take another 5 years before their next chance comes. But certainly, and this waffling, this question, ideological waffling, this total trying to please everybody, especially their role during the Northeast Delhi riots. The chief minister was incommunicado, totally unhelpful. And look at his attitude. He positioned himself as a right-wing alternative to Mr. Modi and the BJP. And look, in the 7 or 8 seats where the minority vote is a factor, is a big factor, he didn't even campaign there. Yet you want to be a part of the so-called secular alliance. Yet you want people to believe, people to vote for you, the marginalized sections, the minorities. So he needs to cut out the clutter at least in his mind and be clear. And his image took a battering, with Liquorgate and especially with Sheeshmehal. Okay, assuming for argument's sake that Liquorgate was all trumped up. But what about this ostentatious house that he's built? Journalists who are otherwise sympathetic to him and who've been to that house, I haven't, but others who've had an opportunity to visit and say that this is a house like no others. Perhaps the one in Hyderabad, which the PRS chief made. That is the only one that can rival.
You've actually listed out a series of reasons. You're saying that they lost touch with the plank that they came on, which is that we were the Aam Aadmi, that he made a virtue out of being the common man who came to work in a Wagoner, I think it was at that time. Then it was, the chief minister with the Sheesh Mahal. And also, as you say, not clear where it stood ideologically except to be BJP light, right? But then why would you go for light when you can get the original?
Original. Very well said. Very well put. Absolutely.
Nalini Singh.
He was not.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Preferred choice. He's not the preferred choice of the minority. He's no longer the preferred choice of the minorities in Delhi, even when it comes to Delhi election. He may be a default choice for want of another option, but he's burnt that bridge of his.
Nalini Singh, what is your sort of key couple of takeaways from this election, which has, of course, huge ramifications everywhere?
Yeah. Nidhi, first of all, when we were talking about 47 and 44 as the vote percentages for the BJP and Aam Aadmi Party respectively, just think of it. 1.5% gain to Aam Aadmi Party and 1.5% loss to the BJP makes them equal. Now, for that, I would not be able to condemn the Aam Aadmi Party's devious ways or the fact that they squandered their goodwill, etc. To an extent, they did. But I think that we also must take cognizance of the fact that this was already a 1.25 engine sarkar here in Delhi, because or 0.25 or 0.5 even. It could even be 1.5 engine sarkar in Delhi. The police is with the central government. All the VIPs come and they are with the central government, the foreigners, and the image that you project, then the Bharat Mandapam, etc. So there is a lot of activity already, which is conditioned to do that which the central government wants. Now the 0.5% that is added on, in that also you find that the loss seems to be something that Shivam just said is a respectable loss, or in fact they have a respectable presence in vote share. I have always wondered about, now if you park that for a second and if you go back to what we have been talking about, all these days that it is a middle class that will vote for the BJP, and it's the less resourceful or less resource persons whom in a crude manner one can call the poor will vote for the Aam Aadmi Party. If you look at the vote percentages, 47 and 44, it appears to me as a citizen of Delhi that actually half of Delhi is well off, and half of Delhi is looking up to this well-off. It knows it's not resourceful. Of course, there's been seepage from the well-off to the Aam Aadmi Party and from the poor to the BJP. But just as a socio-economic demographic or a phenomena, I think it's amazing that this city has got half of its population as rich people or relatively well-off people who don't have to think of roof over their heads, etc. It's quite a phenomenon. I would say that if 50% are middle class, in a way, then the Aam Aadmi Party has gifted an ideology to the BJP. Quite amazing. The ideology of freebies, the ideology of cash transfers, of electricity, etc. The Prime Minister himself said that not one of the facilities given in terms of free facilities given to the population is going to be withdrawn. So amazing that a losing party is actually.
But I just want to take that point that you made about the sort of the class divide in Delhi and how that may have affected voting patterns. Dorab, if you look at that 44% vote share that the AAP has got, it is still largely from the poor, isn't it? And that is what, I mean, that is what they have to take away from this.
If you look at the areas where they've got around the Jamna, it is related to the poor areas of Delhi that have voted for AAP. And, it is normally, both the parties have a certain base. There's a floating voter who goes to parliament one side, assembly the other side. This time he's decided to stay with the BJP. Normally moves during assembly to AAP, but this time it didn't because I think they're just frustrated nothing's happening. I think it's been very good for the BJP that the government has not functioned, that Mr. Kejriwal went to jail. It certainly can't have helped his image. Shishmal can't have helped his image. And it was a close run thing anyway. After 3 elections, I mean, you've been around 12 or 13 years. It's a long time.
But would you say that there's a message then for the opposition, for the AAP and other opposition parties, that maybe they need to look at the more marginalized when they're looking at their campaigns and their slogans, etc. That is what they need to focus on.
A city like Delhi is it's a wealthy city, probably amongst the wealthiest cities in the country. So there's also a wealthy class. You can't afford to ignore anybody in an election in a city of 20 million people. You got to look at them all. Where you're weak, you got to try and strengthen. You may not win. But I don't think you give up any area. You just try and work harder in an area where you're weak.
Right. Tina Sharma, just, to get the BJP's perspective on this, now that you've had a few hours to just step back, breathe and look at the numbers. So, like I think everyone's pointed out, the vote share is much closer than perhaps one had expected. But at the end of the day, it is a huge victory for the BJP.
Absolutely.
Now, looking ahead, it now means that there's nobody to blame. This is now the double engine sarkar that was promised. You have to deliver for the people of Delhi. Wouldn't you say that in a sense the real test for the BJP begins now, whether it comes to civic infrastructure, air pollution, cleaning the Yamuna, everything?
So precisely, Nidhi, I think when Sheila Dikshit ji was in power, so they had Congress in center. They didn't had any issues, and most of the development and infra has been done those times. So I think it's a clear-cut situation now. After 15 years, this BJP has come in power, and we have already taken up the matters. Bajent Panda has already told that first cabinet will decide on Yamuna cleaning, and because I completely understand that that belt has voted BJP, so people are worried about Yamuna, and Yamuna is a major issue for Delhi people, for us. For Purvanchali, for Chhat, we've seen those, the bubbles in Yamuna where people were used to go for Chhat and all that. So I think that there are many issues like civic issues, your drainage, your other things that will be a priority. BJP has to perform. They have to perform in fact, in its first year of taking oath. If you don't perform, they will take your place, whatever. I mean. So I feel that the first year, second year, these are crucial years. People will not vote for next 5 years to you to deliver. People want you to deliver from day one. People want you to go and meet them on day one and listen to them wherever they were lacking. We have to just fill in the gap.
Have you guys had a chance to chat amongst yourselves and say, okay, who would you like to see as chief minister? I know it's not a decision that's in your hands, but who do you think would be a good chief minister for Delhi?
So honestly speaking, I would, if you take my stand, I am not, we are not allowed to speak on this matter, but as a candidate or probably a exchequer from Delhi, I would want somebody who can handle all the matters, whereas even the organizational matters people can handle, or anybody who is probably popular amongst the party leadership.
So
that's what would be
couple of names.
Absolutely not. I mean, I feel that, Vijendra Gupta is one person who's very old with the system. When we had 8 MLAs, he was the one who was there, and he'd been LOP.
From the beginning, he was
from
there
the beginning, and he was party president, and then he was LOP and leader of opposition. Then you have Vishwas Nagar, you have OP Sharma. So there are many, but let BJP, let party decide on the face, because party sees a lot of other things, apart from, and also consensus from the MLAs. I would not disagree on the fact where you say that High Command will decide. It will be a it'll be a kind of decision which will be put across the High Command, and then they will decide. I will not hesitate to admit that, and that's how party runs. You can't have 20 people deciding on one factor.
At least you're honest enough to say that, and then, and not say that it's some major democratic exercise. But this point about now the BJP having to deliver double engine, etc. Shivam Vij, I think it would be also interesting to see what the AAP is like in opposition. Even though Kejriwal has lost his own seat, could this possibly be? There are two things that could happen. One is that the AAP could possibly face serious problems in where it's governing in Punjab, internal rebellions, possibility of BJP trying to poach their legislators, Congress trying to create trouble, etc. All of that is on the cards. Or it could be an opportunity for Mr. Kejriwal to reinvent the AAP himself and actually be a strong opposition. With that kind of vote share, he could be a strong opposition in Delhi, couldn't he?
Yeah, I think in Delhi, both the local BJP and the local Congress, I'm sorry about this, actually make for very poor opposition. And the Aam Aadmi Party would make a great opposition in Delhi, because making halla, making some noise and to the point of excessive nautanki is their forte. So they will make a great opposition in Delhi. They know Delhi intimately, having been in power for 10 years. I also think that the Aam Aadmi Party was formed in 2012 and they have been continuously in power in Delhi, right? So getting a chance to sit in the opposition will actually do them a lot of good. In the morning somebody in the studio was saying that this is the end of AAP. AAP could finish, they could go the BSP way. And I don't think so, but who knows? But this is an opportunity for Arvind Kejriwal, no doubt, to reinvent himself, his party, both for Delhi and nationally, to go back to the people, to go back to the roots, to reflect on their mistakes, to have some humility. And if they do that, there is no reason why they cannot.
Mistakes, according to you, apart from the fact that you said that you believe that the kit, in a sense, with the center was a big problem.
Yeah.
What were their own mistakes?
Far too many, actually, over the years.
Give us
I
three.
think I'll give you top 3. The first one was not to focus on party organization. Cadres and workers, right? When your leaders are going to jail, who will be out there making noise for you, mobilizing people? The workers are just not there, and that hurts you in elections and bringing out the voters and so on. And this is part of a larger problem. When they sacked Prashant Bhushan Yogen Yadav in the first place, it became a one-man party, right? If Kejriwal, when the top leadership was in jail, except for Sanjay Singh, when he came out, there was actually nobody to be the political face of the party. His wife had to step up and, she didn't really click. Second mistake, ideological dithering, which Javed Ansari earlier spoke about, waffling, he said. what that does is, I don't mind if you want to be Hindutva. I don't mind if you want to be more Hindutva than BJP or less Hindutva than BJP, but at least be consistent. I don't know what you stand for. Today you are secular, tomorrow you are Hindutva. Today you are, hardline Sikh in Punjab. Tomorrow you are mainstream in Punjab. What that does is that you do not have a core base of ideological supporters which will make your party survive in the worst days. The BJP has been out of power for long periods. Congress has been out of power for long periods. Why do they survive? Because there is that core base, ideological base, which makes sure that your party is never dead. It speaks up for you in your worst days. And the Aam Aadmi Party is just taking people for granted. This Congress vote share going down from 4 to 6. Who are these additional 2% voters, or for that matter, all of 6% voters, who are voting Congress in a very clearly bipolar election? Why? Many of them are actually Muslims who do not want to vote for BJP, and they cannot vote for Aam Aadmi Party either, because the Aam Aadmi Party no longer pretends to care for them.
About that, we were talking about that in the morning, the seats where there is a significant Muslim population. How did that actually play out in terms of
I think if you look at the final results, we have the graphics. I think AAP did manage to win most of those seats. At one stage it looked pretty close, but then I think in the end AAP closed up the seats. Yes.
So that is interesting. Javed Ansari, on this bigger point though of the Congress vote share again, it does appear now that it's quite clear, like if you add it up, the result could have been very different if the two parties had actually contested together. I think the Congress spokespersons are not happy tonight that people are talking about why they didn't contest together. My understanding was actually that the Congress, at least at its national leadership was keen for an alliance. The AAP dismissed it outright, and we know the Congress in Delhi has been against an alliance. Was that a mistake not to fight together, or is hindsight 2020?
Yeah, it was a mistake, certainly a mistake on both sides. And the fact, given my limited knowledge, is that it was the AAP which rejected it, and the AAP felt that they rejected it because they felt that there was not much to be gained electorally, especially once they saw the results of the Lok Sabha elections. The two parties had an alliance, at least on paper, but it didn't percolate down to the local leadership, and it just came a cropper. It was 7-0, as even when the same result as when they contested separately. But yes, the two leaders, the leadership of both these parties, owed it to themselves and to the larger cause to have ensured that they had an alliance. The problem with the India Alliance and these parties is that all of them say when the Lok Sabha elections comes that yes, we must band together and we must sacrifice for the larger cause. Sacrifice, yes. What they actually mean is that barring themselves, everybody, all the others need to sacrifice. So they need to first get their priorities right. Is their priority to defeat the BJP, or is their priority to win two additional assembly seats in Bihar, or 1.5 in UP, or some in Rajasthan, etc.? So this is nobody wants to cede ground to anybody else. They don't want to accommodate anybody. And in the case of Delhi, it is certainly the AAP which did not want an alliance. The Congress put Mr. Abhishek Singhvi in charge to negotiate with Mr. Kejriwal, because he has a good relation with them. He's fighting all the cases in court and all that. But Mr. Kejriwal, from whatever little I know, for reasons that I've said earlier, felt that it was not in their interest to have an alliance, and he turned down better.
But Nalini is saying, sorry, in terms of implications though, as I see it, this could now create a further strain in the India alliance. Is that alliance even going to survive, in this opposition alliance? There are so many contradictions already. We've kind of lost track of who's been fighting with whom. Mamata Banerjee is fighting with the Congress, the AAP is fighting with the Congress. There have been so many jibes that they've taken at each other. But the knives will really sharpen against the Congress in particular, because the string of state level defeats after the Lok Sabha has made more and more allies in the opposition camp question the Congress's leadership and its approach to this bloc.
It has certainly weakened the Congress party's hand.
For Nalini Singh, sorry. Yeah, I'll come to you, Mr. Ansari, on that also. Yeah.
Nidhi, it appears that it now is quite evident that parties also have long memories. Now, the fact that the Congress party vote, it thinks, and I think it's true, was soaked up by the Aam Aadmi Party, and that the Aam Aadmi Party in 2011 in the India Against Corruption movement actually unseated, toppled the Congress government. So the Congress was also, seething inside, and they took their revenge over here. And now they soaked up the very critical votes of the Aam Aadmi Party, even though if it wouldn't have got Aam Aadmi Party over the hump, over and made got more seats than the BJP, but these two parties seem to have played out kind of, one of these melodramatic dramas in the last 15 years, saying we are friends and yet doing this to each other. And you are right that it is actually coming to the Congress as a pivot, which is a centripetal force. That is this going to happen? Is the India bloc even going to have the Congress party in a leadership position? I think also the Congress party is indulging in magical thinking. If they can have, Sandeep Dixit, etc., and these people say that, just think of if you play back in your mind what they were saying during this election about their chances. I think that's amazing. And the only other party that mystifies me, so there are many, these magical thinking type parties, not only the Congress, but the BSP. BSP had candidates perhaps in several seats or in all seats, correct me if I'm wrong. So where exactly are these people headed, going? But I would, you were going back to the about corruption. And I'm not, there is no implication in what I'm going to say. But one of the candidates for the chief minister's post allegedly is Mr. Pravesh Verma. Pravesh Verma has declared a rise in his assets of up to 7 times in 5 years. Now, 700% rise in assets in 5 years is something that he should come and tell us, these are the declared assets, how this happens, so that he's also aware that should he go to the chair of the chief minister, he's going to be watched, just as there's another Sheesh Mahal which will come along in that respect. And also I would say that when you're talking about the Muslim vote and the ambiguity of the Aam Aadmi Party, that didn't seem to serve them well. Aam Aadmi Party projected themselves as pro-Hindu, Hanumanji, pro-Hindu, but not anti-Muslim. And this doesn't seem to have worked. So, there is something which the Muslims wanted very much.
That's not good enough in a situation where today you see, when you see what happened in the Delhi riots, for example, or Shaheen Bagh, or it's not just good enough to say, well, I'm not anti-Muslim, I'm not actually, taking you off a train and beating you up, or I'm not barging into your house and saying love jihad. That's not good enough. I mean, I guess for minorities, they would want to see a party that takes, an actual stand, Dorab, on these issues, and therefore that ambiguity to me, doesn't work.
But they've still managed to get 8 out of 11 seats in the Muslim areas.
People realize that they didn't really have a choice. It's like,
perhaps that's it,
you're not going to vote for the BJP, Congress ko denge to zaya ho jayega, so you may as well.
8 out of 11 is not good enough, because Muslims are not going to vote for BJP. You are the only other alternative. You should be winning 11 out of 11.
Which they did last time.
Which they did last time. So I think 8 out of 11 is proof that their neglect of the Muslim voter has cost them in an election where you've lost only by 2-3 percentage points. I think the neglect of the Muslim voter has been perhaps more important than the lack of an alliance with Congress.
Tina Sharma, last comment on the impact of this on the BJP. That the fact is that the 240 in the Lok Sabha was a big setback, but the whole that horrible word narrative has changed now with win after win, Maharashtra, Haryana, now Delhi. So has the BJP now put that behind? And there seems to be another interesting lesson, which is that the party really seems to rally and put its best campaign foot forward when it is actually on the back foot.
Absolutely, and that credit is going to Karyakartas and strategy makers and people who are, I mean, our elections are very well planned, you know. I must tell you that whole election is being watched by different state ministers and other people coming from other states, staying back here for a month or 20 days election, whatever. So I think it's a well managed program where even the party Karyakarta cannot dent the candidate if he doesn't get the, you know, ticket. And I think the party has a very strong Karyakarta base, and that's what is making BJP. Of course, no one is talking about, even the middle class is never, I mean, I have not heard anyone talking, you know, about 240 seats in parliament. The last 1 year, we've not been discussing this matter. The initial, you know, the conversation when we had with people and we used to discuss in parties and everything, that was only for 2 months. So the memory is very short and people live by day.
You're only as
So
good as your last election.
I think we take it because that was again, you know, anti-incumbency, and we were quoting high numbers. In fact, I mean, the last elections 2020, Manoj Tiwari ji, who was the party president, and I was working with him, he quoted 48 seats and we had only 8 seats. So he quoted. He said, I mean, we are not winning less than 48 seats. So we had 8 seats. So at times, you know, our understanding about winning seats are very different. So people forget. I mean, it's a very short memory, and I think even Delhi people must have given up on many things when Arvind Kejriwal has failed to do so. And they've, you know, again came in power in 2020. Now 2025 is a long period. People can't give you all, you know, all 3-4 chances. I think Delhi people, now middle class, upper middle class is talking about works to be done. They want, you know, people to perform. I have heard Saurabh Bhardwaj speaking in I don't know which meeting you were quoting, but I've heard Saurabh Bhardwaj speaking in a gathering of 5,000 people, standing just, you know, 3 days ago, you know, on the polling day. And so he was saying that, you know, I wanted to do your work. People were quoting that, you know, आपने ये नहीं किया, आपने ये नहीं किया. So he said, I wanted to do your work, but LG ने फाइल रोक दिया. वहाँ लोगों ने सारे आपके नारे लगाए, but लोगों ने वोट नहीं किया. I mean, उन्हीं पोलिंग बूथ से उसको वोट नहीं हुआ है. He was counting on those, you know, votes. So उन पोलिंग बूथ से वोट नहीं हुआ. The people are very smart. And Delhi has always been unpredictable. I mean, last 3 elections I've seen that Delhi is very, very unpredictable. When we were going door to door, we've seen people saying that, हाँ, आपको BJP को वोट करेंगे, आपको वोट करेंगे, आप ही को वोट देंगे. So at times it was very sarcastic. We used to ask them, आपको वोट देंगे, BJP को वोट देंगे. So
Right.
that's what, you know, that's what is the sentiment. And the Jhuggi people are very smart these days. They take all freebies from all 3 parties.
Everybody does, not just the Jhuggi.
No, everybody. My 2 mates, I mean, told me that, you know, we've collected 2,100 from that Janpath. We went there and, you know, collected this, and Arvind Kejriwal is also giving us. So I asked him, vote kisko
Only
doge?
we were waiting for the 15 lakhs in the account, right, Shivam?
No,
That
so
I'm waiting for.
You know, well, right now women will be waiting for 2,500 in their accounts,
Yeah.
which will be quite expensive for the Delhi government's budget.
Yeah.
But the Delhi government is a prosperous one, relatively
actually,
a prosperous
yeah,
government.
yeah,
They're lucky.
it is.
Despite that, this scheme is going to be so expensive that they may no longer have a surplus budget. They may have to borrow.
That is interesting, but it's already telling on Maharashtra's
See, Maharashtra already
budget.
had a deficit budget
Yeah,
of 5
yeah.
lakh crore. You know, but Mr. Gadkari, when we spoke to him, said, you know, so I asked him, how do you balance? He said, look, the purpose of this fight is to win the election, forget the
फिर
rest.
बाद में देखेंगे.
Doesn't matter if Ladli bin or whatever it is, costs a bomb.
that's where AAP is lacking. So I
Well,
think,
you know, that's an interesting debate in itself. I mean, you know, what the impact of this kind of welfareism / freebie / whatever is going to be long term.
But actually, the election commission says, if whatever you're in a manifesto, cost it. Just give us the cost. Every party that says, I will give A, B, C, you can work out a cost of what it is. And
So
then
that you actually
let the
tell
people
people.
know at least
Well,
that this is what you're talking about.
Let's just leave you, before we come back at the top of the hour, with the reactions of the 2 big players in this election today, the Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, and of course Arvind Kejriwal, who conceded defeat a few hours ago.
आज दिल्ली के चुनाव के नतीजे आए हैं और जनता का जो भी निर्णय है, जनता का जो भी फैसला है, उसे हम पूरी विनम्रता के साथ स्वीकार करते हैं. जनता का निर्णय सर माथे पर। मैं भारतीय जनता पार्टी को इस जीत के लिए बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं और मैं उम्मीद करता हूं कि जिस उम्मीद के साथ और जिस आशा के साथ लोगों ने उनको बहुमत दिया है वो उन सभी उम्मीदों और आशाओं पे पूरा उतरेंगे।
भारत माता की, भारत माता की, भारत माता की, यमुना मैया की, यमुना मैया की, यमुना मैया की। आज दिल्ली में, दिल्ली के लोगों में एक उत्साह भी है, एक सुकून भी है। उत्साह विजय का है और सुकून दिल्ली को आपदा से मुक्त कराने का है। साथियों, मैंने हर दिल्ली वासी के नाम एक पत्र भेजा था और आप सबने हर परिवार में मेरा एक पत्र पहुंचाया था और मैंने दिल्ली से प्रार्थना की थी कि 21वीं सदी में भाजपा को सेवा का अवसर दीजिए, दिल्ली को विकसित भारत की विकसित राजधानी बनाने के लिए भाजपा को मौका दीजिए। मैं दिल्ली के हर परिवारजन को मोदी की गारंटी पर भरोसा करने के लिए दिल्ली वासियों को सर झुका करके नमन करता हूं। मैं दिल्ली वासियों का आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। साथियों, दिल्ली ने दिल खोलकर हमें प्यार दिया और मैं दिल्ली वासियों को फिर से एक बार विश्वास दिलाता हूं, आपके इस प्यार को सवा गुना करके विकास के रूप में हम लौटाएंगे। दिल्ली के लोगों का ये प्यार, ये विश्वास हम सभी पर एक कर्ज है। इसे अब दिल्ली की डबल इंजन सरकार दिल्ली का डबल तेजी से विकास करके चुकाएगी। साथियों, आज की ये ऐतिहासिक विजय है, ये सामान्य विजय नहीं है। दिल्ली के लोगों ने आपदा को बाहर कर दिया। एक दशक की आपदा से दिल्ली मुक्त हुई। इस नतीजे में भाजपा के कार्यकर्ताओं की दिन रात की मेहनत, उनका परिश्रम ये विजय को चार चांद लगा देता। और आप सभी कार्यकर्ता इस विजय के हकदार हैं। मैं भाजपा के प्रत्येक कार्यकर्ताओं भी आप सबको ये विजय की बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं।
And welcome to DeKoder. I'm Nidhi Razdan, and what a day it's been in Delhi. The BJP back in power after 27 years. A big defeat for the Aam Aadmi Party with Arvind Kejriwal losing his own seat. What are the implications now of this election, not just for Delhi but nationally as well? Here to take us through the data, through the numbers, we have Prannoy Roy, Dorab Sopariwala. We have Geeta Bhatt back in the studio with us, political analyst and commentator.
Who avoided us during the daytime. Yeah. ठीक है, we get it.
Manisha Priyam
from Kumbh, so that's why I missed the morning session.
Manisha Priyam is back with us. Shivam Vij is back with us this evening. So is Tina Sharma of the BJP. We also have Mr. Javed Ansari, Nalini Singh, two veteran journalists joining us as well. But it's over to you, Doc. Take us through the numbers because it's a really fascinating election.
No, it is fascinating, and I think Dorab and I have done work on whether, if two parties get together, are their votes additive if they form an alliance? And it's in that book. What's it called? That book that you wrote loudly.
The verdict.
I'm carrying it.
The verdict.
The verdict. Yeah, it's in there, and it shows that when two parties get together and form an alliance, yes, the votes are not only additive, they add together plus extra because there's a momentum that voters say, look, they've come together, they're more likely to win, and so people like to vote for the winner. Now, what happened in this election? The Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress did not get together. And frankly, they committed harakiri, suicide, self-destruction. Just look at the votes and the seats. What happened? We've got the graphic on that. If that can come up, I'm not sure if it's ready yet. But bottom line is, okay, we'll come back to that.
We have the vote share graphic if you want to use
no,
that.
I put the votes, seats, seats by caste, everything. Yeah.
Overall.
But what is also interesting, we'll come back to the actual figures, but the same thing happened in Haryana. They didn't get together, and instead of 37 seats, they would have got 41 seats, 4 seats extra if they had got together, and their votes would have gone up by to about 40.9 above the BJP. So, frankly, Dorab, if two political parties can't see this as an election strategy, they deserve to lose. I don't care whether, and frankly, BJP has been much smarter at alliances over the years. They've given more and they've gained as a result.
That's right. They've, even when they're in a strong position, they've been generous to the ally.
Yeah.
In the old days, particularly when they were coming up. Now, of course, they are slightly more aggressive, but they were very, they play the game very well. Yes. I think the other guys just don't know how to play the game. Simple as that. They are a professional
even though they're
party.
Strong, they give more.
That's right.
And the Congress, even though they're weak, they give less. Yes, crazy. So one is that the alliance really killed the parties. The other is, again in that book, we won't repeat the name, we show that when there's a lower turnout, and this time it's about 2% lower, it helps the BJP. Why? Because the BJP is a cadre-based party. It gets its voters out. Anyway, basic. Others hope for enthusiasm, voluntary turnout. So when it goes down like it has, the turnout went down this time, that's another factor that helped the BJP. We'll get all these figures in a short while, but it is an election of suicide, self-destruction. I think suicide is a bit strong. Self-destruction.
But I believe, again, it was the AAP that rejected this alliance both in Haryana and in Delhi. The national leadership of the Congress, from what I hear, was keen for it. Of course, they faced headwinds from their state units, like in Punjab and in Delhi. But I think if they wanted to, they could have gone ahead with an alliance. The AAP said no. But having said that, the Congress has been very difficult with allies, when it negotiates for seats also.
By the way, I've talked to both sides. Both sides claim the other side. But yeah, I think there's more evidence that the AAP was feeling very strong and said, we don't really need you. But any party, X and Y, BJP or anybody who does this, doesn't form an alliance, deserves to lose. You don't understand elections.
Manisha Priya?
I don't believe in grand general theories. I think the one big lesson of the BJP victory in Delhi today is its hyper-localism. The afternoon has been filled with the fact that the current BJP MLA in my constituency lost because the councillor was facing an anti-incumbency.
Right.
So, Nalli, Gali, the more you hyper-localized it, it meant therefore that the BJP Karyakartas who had literally infiltrated, I only thought my Bihar, but I've been told in my constituency that there were more than 100 workers from Madhya Pradesh roaming door to door. So it means therefore that in hyper-localizing, the BJP has far greater, people, resources, etc. at their hand, resources, not just money, simply going and talking to people and convincing people. The second thing that I feel is that had the Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress come together, they would have at least built an anti-BJP narrative. Now, I don't see Mr. Kejriwal trying to understand how a local anti-BJP narrative can be built beyond just teasing the other party on social media, or making a Mickey out of someone, or just trying to do a disruptor. So I think that era of this type of short-termism or thinking that social media events will lead to political events, that's clearly over.
But having said that, I just wanted to bring senior journalist Vandita Mishra in, who's joining us as well tonight. Vandita Mishra, if you look at the AAP's campaign, in that sense, they did campaign like they always have, which is with a lot of energy. They started several months ago, very sort of, these kind of Jan Sabhas, door-to-door campaigns, etc. So were they, in a sense, trying to focus on their track record, on what they had delivered, what they were able to do, what they were promising? And was the Congress, in the kind of tepid campaign that it had, still stuck on generalities like a caste census, and therefore not hyper-local in the way that Manisha Priyam is talking about? And it's sort of a one-size-fits-all formula that the Congress seems to have these days, which is, let's just talk about a caste census and the constitution everywhere, and maybe that will, help us win.
To me, it seems that this is an election that Kejriwal has lost. It is not an election that Modi has won. This was an election for Kejriwal to lose, and he lost it. The Congress, wherever I asked about the Congress when I traveled the city, is seen as a party of the past. It is seen as a party that got stuck after Sheila Dikshit. That after that, it has not renewed itself, either in terms of leadership or in terms of its social support. The Aam Aadmi Party, whether you want to call it hyper-localism or something else, is a party that stalled at the bottom of the pyramid, of the voter pyramid. It gave something to hold on to those who were just hanging on to the city with their fingernails. But after that, it ignored everybody else, or neglected, or did not address the other sections. So it's an election that the result has happened because the Aam Aadmi Party project stalled at a certain stage.
Are you talking about the middle class in particular, which obviously was a factor in its big victories in the last two elections and then has clearly moved away because they have a respectable vote share, right? 44% is pretty good, for a third term.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but that is largely from the poor, isn't it?
Yes. And to me it seems, because having traveled the city and listened to the voters, I would say the Aam Aadmi Party has a huge base to build back on. You know, you have the vote of the most vulnerable and the minorities. I mean, there is something good to be said about that. And you have a base to build back from there. You stalled there for various reasons, whether it was because the center made it difficult for you to function, or because you ran out of imagination, you ran out of energy, you ran out of ideas, you stalled. But you have a huge base which is made up of the city's most vulnerable and its minorities. Like I said, there is something really good to be said for that.
We do have the graphics now with the data. We'll have a quick look at it, because I think we've already discussed it in briefly, and go through it in a few seconds. Now, here's what it looks like. The BJP got 47.2% of the vote. The Aam Aadmi Party got 43.5%. That is less than 4% difference. The Congress got 6.4%. You add them together, BJP got 47.2%. Aam plus Congress got 49.9%. That's 2.7% higher than the BJP. And as we've shown all our data, we looked at data since 1952. When they come together, the votes are additive plus a momentum effect. Now, how does that affect the seats? We haven't taken the momentum effect there. It might be another 1%. Yeah. If you look at that, 48 seats is what the BJP got. Aam Aadmi Party 22. If they had formed an alliance, they would have got 36 and BJP 34. So AAP plus Congress would have got 14 more seats, and they would have been the largest alliance in this election. If you don't understand this in elections, you shouldn't be in. Just a quick look at the turnout. There's a second factor that is important. It was getting worse and worse between revised and actual. And this time it's much better. The Election Commission has done a good job, but turnout has come down, and that again helps the BJP. Do we have the caste-wise? No, not this one. The caste-wise seats gained from alliance. We have one of those. We'll come back to that. Yeah, okay, we'll just come back. Here it is. So we said they're going to gain 14 seats, remember? Where did they gain those 14 seats? In JJ colonies, if the two Aam Aadmi Party and Congress had got together, they would have got 4 extra seats. Purvanchali seats, 3 extra. SC seats, 2 extra. Jat seats, 2 extra. And others, 3 extra. So the 14 would have been almost evenly divided, but mostly from the JJ colony. These are minimum gains because there's no momentum effect added to it. It could be even more. And that is a complete lack of understanding of strategy in elections.
I dare to disagree.
Oh no, never! You can't. Not in public.
At your peril.
When I'm not in the room.
I think there are many elections where alliances do not actually work the way they should work neatly in the arithmetic.
Are you saying his work from 1952 to now is all wrong?
I think, I haven't looked at 1952, but I think 2024, Lok Sabha Delhi, for example, Delhi, Aam Aadmi Party and Congress came together, and I think together they gained maybe only 1 or 2% extra vote points.
But the Lok Sabha dynamic is very different in Delhi. It's been generally pro-centre, pro-BJP, right?
No, that's not a good...
UP 2017.
If they hadn't allied, they could have lost
done
even
worse.
worse.
Exactly.
Maybe.
No, the fact that it's better.
No, that's a... I'm so sorry to say, that's a wrong example because...
No, one second. What could have happened also with the alliance is that Aam Aadmi Party doing alliance with Congress in Delhi could have sounded like Aam Aadmi Party conceding they are weak and Congress is anyway weak, so voters could have shifted even more to BJP.
Which is all very well to say considered, but look at the data for the last 75 years and then come to a conclusion. We're not talking as a theory, it's just database. So come with the data and then I'll...
Sure. Okay, so just to...
I dared.
Let me play the Lego bit. You know, the Congress would have had a better handle at the middle class. The Aam Aadmi held on to the lower votes, remember. In the colonies, in the RWA, the possibility was that the Congress, remember Sheila Dikshit's own programs about, you know, the Bhagidari, etc. That's the beginning of this RWA middle class politics. It's not the BJP. So that would have allowed
That's a
the
very
Congress
important
to
point,
yeah,
actually.
number one. Second, to Nidhi's point about the caste census, I think theoretically it's important for the Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress, if they hear the two scholarly gentlemen here writing about alliances since the 1950s, to reinvent caste in Delhi. Look at the fact that the BJP, the middle, is actually not just a class phenomena, it's a middle caste phenomena that the BJP has been able to insert its workers from Haryana, from Bihar, and get the OBC chunk out. While we kept thinking about the Brahmins, I know for a certainty the caste background of the BJP workers who've come here from Bihar, and they were a rainbow of OBC specific castes appealing. Therefore, and I believe that forget a caste census, any government like the Aam Aadmi Party that has done social welfare schemes already has a lot of micro data on caste, forget a census.
We have actually some interesting information on caste. First, let me just get those figures again, where they would have gained. JJ Colony 3, Purvanchali 1, SC seats 1, Jhansi's 2 and others 7, because there were a lot of other seats. That's how it comes to 14. There were some typos in the earlier one. If we had that graph of the caste that we did an opinion poll, exit poll actually in the last election, which was the most accurate, done by Cicero and Dhananjay, and it showed in the upper caste BJP hugely ahead, OBCs and the middle class, AAP was ahead, and in the backward caste and other religions, AAP way ahead. Now I've just been looking at a really good opinion exit poll done by Axis My India. They got it really spot on, and they gave it caste-wise, and that middle bit, just what you're saying, totally turned the other way.
So forget bashing the Congress. Did Akhilesh Yadav's party campaign effectively in a local way? Did Hemant Soren's party come and campaign effectively in a local sort of way? Remember, they are not just a scheduled tribe party. The important Mahto leadership remains with them.
Correct.
So I think the India alliance as a whole was not leveraged by the AAP at all.
Quite right.
Although they didn't, the other parties announced support, but they didn't do anything.
Nothing to do with BJP, you're just lucky. Because the others don't understand elections.
No, Dr. Roy, I 2-3 points based on the discussion which has taken place. First point, I think that every election, it has its own dynamics. It is very difficult to compare the two, because we saw in Uttar Pradesh also Samajwadi and Congress, they came together against BJP, but they couldn't do much about it. So, and also considering that Mr. Kejriwal's, credibility was really at a low in this election. And also his party also in totality. He
got less than 3%. 3% difference between Aam Aadmi Party, and so it's not a huge drop. Yeah.
In all the, these are constituencies are not very big in size. I think Mr. Verma has got around 30,000 votes and Kejriwal ji has got around 25,000 plus votes, something like that. So these are small constituencies. Yeah. And also saying that the Aam Aadmi Party, sorry to say, but I would differ with Vandana ji, that they have a chance of revival because they have a strong voter base, because this is a party which came in 2013 and immediately they came to power, and after that they have continuously been in power. So whatever voter base they have, they does not have any per se ideological foundation. They have not sweat their blood to make their party. So after they have lost the power, whether they will be able to maintain their cadre, I think there is a very big question mark on that.
But it could be an opportunity for them. In politics, I think the BJP knows you can't write off anyone. The BJP was once 2 MPs and look where it is today.
Yes, but the point is that they have, they have sweat over it, they have worked over it. They have a foundation. But there is a question mark, because they have been making their voter base just because they have been in power for the last 10. Ever since they came as existence as Aam Aadmi Party, they have been in power.
So, Leena, the other actually signal that we all should have seen earlier was when the turnout dropped by 2%, just over 2%. It actually was an indicator that BJP will be doing better, because BJP gets its voters out. because of its cadre based.
Of course.
But so when the turnout goes down over again 1952 to 75 years, every time turnout goes down, BJP does better.
Whenever you say 1952.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't born then.
Yeah.
But generally, I think generally what kind of the kind of understanding we have is like, you know, when turnout is more, the opposition is winning. So that's general understanding.
That's right.
Any
Which means
election.
the BJP wins a lower turnout
Yes,
because
lower
it's.
turnout.
But Tina, so you've just been lucky. BJP.
No, we've worked very hard.
Yeah.
You can.
Yes, they
At
have.
least you got your
Yeah.
voters out. That's
No,
true.
no. I mean, we worked for 10 years. From 2013, I mean, we worked very hard, very hard on the ground. Every day we had dharna pradarshans, and it takes a toll on the karyakarta. So we were. I mean, our karyakartas were fed up.
50,000 meetings in Delhi.
Whatever. I mean, election campaign is a very different thing. That's a rigorous, you know, the practice on the ground. But otherwise also, we were working very hard from last 10 years.
What
But
you
last
got,
two elections also you must have worked very hard.
Very hard. 2020 was tough for
What
us.
changed this time?
Nothing, only the enthusiasm amongst the Karyakarta. Karyakarta was also fed up of Dharna Pradarshan every day. The Mahila Morcha, the Yuva wing. We were tired.
No, but do you
we
feel,
were tired of Dharna Pradarshan.
Do you feel there's a little, there's quite a momentum going after Haryana, Maharashtra, now Delhi? There's a post general election momentum in your favor, the BJP's favor. That's what's happening?
I think that the difference between first is that, of course, one important factor was that the way Mr. Kejriwal had emerged as a political leader, where he had talked about that he's going to bring a corruption-free government, and he's going to work for the poor, and there was a stark difference in terms of any kind of a policy that was being implemented in Delhi and the amount of money that was being spent on the advertisement. I mean, the CAG report, which has not been tabled yet, and the Prime Minister in his speech has announced that in the first assembly that is going to take place, the CAG report is going to be tabled in that. There are innumerable issues which are going to be, I mean, there are some which we don't even know, that we'll come to know that. I think that is, if you talk to general public, and every time I used to go to the airport talking to the taxi drivers, earlier they had, a hope in Mr. Kejriwal that he is going to do something. But lately, for the last 1 year, there was a disillusionment. People were not very happy with this free thing. Actually, I'm telling you, there are many taxi drivers who objected to it.
I think you know what? By the way, what we've heard is that the men are not happy. Why? Because it's going to women, and women are becoming independent. Yeah. They don't need to ask the man for anything. So they're not happy. I mean, that is just awful.
No,
if
but
that's
the
true.
BJP has upped the
Is that true? Oh my God, that is awful.
Women are so happy.
Women are happy and men
the
are saying,
BJP had
suddenly
to promise that we will keep up with everything that was being given to you.
Exactly.
So what was that implicit assurance?
You've done gender analysis.
See,
also.
once you've tasted
you've
liberty,
done gender analysis also. Who voted?
Sea Voter did say in their pre-election survey that there is a big gender gap. Women are voting for Aam Aadmi Party, men for the BJP. There's a huge difference.
Yeah. So, once women have tasted liberty, who has seen liberty and wants to go back to that?
I think we underestimate how much something like free bus rides make a difference
to a woman's life.
For those who are working, women who are working and trying to just make a living in Delhi. It does make a big difference that they're able to travel for free. But Vandita Mishra, about this point that Geeta Bhatt raised, and since you talked about a base that the AAP has to perhaps rebuild from here, we were discussing this earlier about the lack of ideological consistency with the AAP, that it doesn't seem to know what it really stands for. It was born out of this anti-corruption movement, largely with volunteers that worked for it, not really a party cadre in the traditional sense like, say, the BJP or the Congress. But it's been wishy-washy on so many things. B team of the BJP, Hindutva light on one hand, not really speaking up for the minorities, about Muslims in particular, and yet part of the India bloc. So has it ideologically been very confused, and has that also been a factor in its decline?
See, you could look at it as ideologically confused, or you could look at it as the AAP trying for a different mix. Now, when it first came, and especially in its first term, the focus on renovating the government school and the focus on setting up the Mohalla clinic was very, very refreshing, and it was not something that other parties had paid attention to. The problem became that success got routinized, and people started asking questions even of the Mohalla clinic and the government school, questions of quality. In the meantime, the other, the whatever you call freebies, the subsidies, electricity, for instance, is a hugely effective subsidy, because so many families, households at the lower end of the spectrum will tell you that saving about 500 rupees per month is a huge saving for them. Water was not really effective because the quality of water and the supply of public water is just so bad almost all across Delhi. So the electricity subsidy was good, the water subsidy was ineffective, the bus rides for women was very effective. So the Aam Aadmi Party was trying for a different mix. There is the focus on the school, on the Mohalla clinic, these subsidies, and then yes, on Hindutva, it was trying for a Hindutva which was different from the BJP's, that it didn't want to, just go totally an anti-BJP.
Can I just interrupt there and bring Dorab in here? Yeah, Dorab, everybody seems to, and this is very normal, focus on seats, and the seat difference is 48 to 22. So you think it's a landslide. When you look at the votes, there's just a 3% difference, and if you form an alliance, they're less than BJP plus AAP plus Congress. So instead of focusing, seats are not a good indicator of where the voter's mind is it?
Yes, but the question is, in the voter's mind, finally what matters is seats.
No, that's
this
what kind of power, but
yes,
we are saying that's a huge defeat.
It is not.
It's in terms of votes, it's not. It's just this. We've adopted the British system, and that's the first past the post, and the Brits never get it right anyway. And it just exaggerates the amount of seats. And I think you were speaking earlier that this is a crazy exaggeration.
Yes.
Normally it would never be.
In two-party seats, there is something called the cube law as to how the seats ought to be distributed.
For votes.
Forget how, based on votes. And if you calculate that, independently what's happened, you get 39-31, while the actual number is 48-22. So the cube law has been put to bed.
9
Perhaps
seats.
Very, very small majorities. We'll find out tomorrow. The majority are very small wins because this vote distribution cannot explain.
So don't look that happy.
No, I just wanted to add.
You got less votes.
She also won just by 900 votes.
Yes, that's right.
It's the same.
All of them.
them.
But then that's what has the cube law all over the place.
But to focus on votes is generally a more academically correct thing to. You're going to disagree again?
No, for once I agree.
For once you agree.
But you're just looking ahead at what happens next, Manisha Priyam. What happens to the AAP now? And everyone's looking at Punjab, where again they are also facing anti-incumbency. There is this speculation about defections. Maybe the BJP will try to break them there. The Congress might also try to create trouble. Could there immediately be, in your view, a problem for the AAP in Punjab?
So, in the short term and in the long term, the Aam Aadmi Party government in Punjab will have a very tough time. And I also believe that this whole thing of chehre ki rajniti in the state arenas, something that reached its epoch with Chandrababu Naidu, who became the CEO, etc. The moment you come to alliance politics and you start harping on one chehra, Kejriwal ji hamare neta hain, and then that blocks the possibilities of your building alliances. I think in state politics, it's not just Aam Aadmi Party. In state politics in general, the chehre ki rajniti is a thing of the past. They have to look at newer ways. I mean, look at Nitish and chehre ki rajniti. You've got Sanjay Jha as the head of that party. Nitish in his sunset years doesn't know how to transfer power to anybody else. You see this here now. All the mathematics and the laws are telling us it should have been an alliance. But it's the chehre ki rajniti on this side and the other side saying, oh, Sheila Dikshit bahut achhi thi. Aap bhi to bolte ki Congress party badi achhi thi. Kya hai? What is it in the party and the cadres that can stitch you together? So I think chehre ki rajniti and political advertising around it, especially in state level arena, is a thing of the past. Second, of course, as I've said always, politics of the middle class. That has to be reinvented in a micro way, because the only way these parties can defeat the BJP is by fighting back from the state level arenas. How do they get this back?
So Nidhi, let me ask you. No, seriously, what impact is this going to happen on alliances in Bihar?
I think we'll have to see whether the Congress is actually going to back down and be more reasonable with seat sharing, because I think the biggest problem they've had with a lot of allies state-wise is demanding more seats than they actually probably deserve in states, and therefore will they be tougher? Will they be will they concede that the RJD should have the upper hand in this alliance in Bihar?
It's very important, the number of seats.
There's no question of that.
No, but number, you see, even if it's a larger amount, how much larger, how much...
Look at what happened in the parliamentary
elections. Again, the granular situation in Bihar is that the RJD also needs to be a little reasonable, act to reasonable how.
Will they learn from this?
I don't think so. It's the Chehra ki Rajniti, you know.
But BJP will be more reasonable in its alliances, always has been more practical.
They've learned the politics of the OBC caste. If the Kurmi leadership was with Nitish Kumar, the Koiri or Kushwaha leadership was with them. Where did the Kushwaha leader come from? From the RJD. So is the RJD learning its lesson to have a broader middle?
That in the Lok Sabha elections, at least in UP, Bihar, both, the India alliance was fairly okay. The seat sharing was...
Didn't give enough seats to the left.
The
only seats the RJD won was with the support of the left. You ask the left, they'll tell you the story.
But therefore you're positive about them forming an alliance, because BJP you can always be positive. They are much more practical. They understand elections.
I think in UP, for example, the Samajwadi Party Congress understanding was way better than it sort of used to be. Even in Bihar, I think the RJD Congress bickering wasn't too bad this time in Lok Sabha. So I think the India Alliance actually worked on the ground. In UP, in Lok Sabha, I heard people use the word India Alliance ko vote de rahe hain, which meant that it worked. So I think that just because it did not work in Delhi, Aam Aadmi Party is after all a two-state player, right? So, but UP, Bihar, you have much bigger parties as part of the India Alliance, and those two states are where the alliance actually matters apart from Maharashtra.
But I think the interesting thing will be to see how that plays out at the state level, because one of the chips that the Congress has on its shoulder is that we are a national party, and when it negotiates with allies at a state level, they take that with them to say that, well, we deserve more seats because we are a national party. They don't, you see, if say X party is stronger in X state, then you have to be ready to be more flexible there.
Election strategy they don't understand, and BJP does, and that's a very fundamental part of this election.
I think in recent times they have improved. I think Maharashtra and Jharkhand both, they were better than they used to be in terms of seat negotiation, alliance making. Maybe
have
not.
A chat with Hemant Soren sometime.
Don't.
Or don't. The Congress by the side
in
a
state. I just wanted to add that in the Delhi election, the India Alliance partners, they were actually standing against the Congress party. I mean, they were campaigning actually against the Congress party because they were standing on Kejriwal's platform. So that itself, I mean, the kind of a message that you are going to give to the rest of the country. How are they going to come together and convince the voters?
What does that mean for the future of this opposition bloc? Vandita Mishra, is this opposition bloc, I mean, it hasn't even met since the Lok Sabha elections, but it's there on paper. What happens to it now? Will there be a greater sort of, to use that horrible cliche, the knives be out for the Congress in a bigger way within that India bloc, and then what happens?
It's an important question, yeah.
So we've seen actually over the past few weeks, one after the other, an ally is saying to the Congress basically that what gives you the right to be the leader of the India Alliance, you know? Why should we listen to you? Because you are not pulling your weight in terms of votes on the ground. In every state, if you look, the BJP, the biggest challenger for the BJP is a regional party, not the Congress. And even in Delhi, that has been proved to be so. It is the Aam Aadmi Party which is the challenger. Congress has just not taken off the ground now for ever since Sheila Dikshit. So that questioning has begun. It is likely to increase.
Yeah, it's a very important point that it's very tough for the Congress to be reasonable and to give demand very few seats. if we look at the Delhi vote swap, the Congress and the AAP, and that's the kind of background. We got the graphic on. Look at how the Congress has gone down. It's like a scissor. The Congress has gone down with the same amount that the AAP has gone up. So everything, the Congress votes gone to the AAP. And now for them to come and say, okay, you can have more seats, we are nowhere. It's pretty tough because this history does matter. But there is another factor. AAP got Congress votes, plus if we look at the decline of independents, got a lot of look at the decline of independent votes. MCD elections, assembly elections, Lok Sabha elections, independents no longer matter.
BSP used to be a force among
that's also gone. But all over the country, independents and other parties, now it's these major parties that the voters becoming much more discerning in terms of who they vote for.
Because that's the
campaign finance issue. Because
that's right.
Because there's a threshold for MP, MLA candidates, but there's no threshold for the party. So the party spends disproportionate amount of money in the campaign. Is the party leaders face everywhere. The independent MLA just can't compete.
And also, I think the voter is also getting more discerning. He wants to vote for somebody who can make a difference. Sorry?
Or she.
Did I said them, didn't I? I thought I said they. So sorry.
They, them.
But I mean, we have another big election this year, Bihar. And there also looks like advantage BJP at the moment, doesn't it? So that means this whole momentum that the BJP has gained after the Lok Sabha is likely to continue through this year.
I was there in January, the day Rahul Gandhi came for the Samvidhan Bachao Divas. I saw a photo of Rahul Gandhi with Karpuri Thakur on a poster, and I said, in my lifetime, I didn't see this ever. I mean, Karpuri lived the life of a pariah and was never accepted by the Congress. But in idea terms, there is an image that puts them together. But it's a picture that's claimed equally by the BJP. I mean, Karpuri would have been dead being seen either with the Jansangh or with the Congress. But that's the reality. The BJP today has district offices in each of the districts. There's a shining library of the BJP in Patna itself, which is a brass plate outside. So a formal presence, but apart from that, also a great presence in the urban gullies. If there were an Aam Aadmi type of politics in Patna today, the BJP would be at the clear advantage around the coaching centers, etc. And I find parties like the RJD and the Congress nowhere there in the politics of the gully. It's a King Khan who's leading the politics. Well, Prashant Kishore realizes this, lands up in a vanity van. He knows the GI tagging is important, but the Congress and the RJD are not there. So in a sense, it's not just for the Congress to ask for lesser seats and let the RJD take. It's also for the RJD to reinvent itself where the transitioning precariat is, where what the BJP's coined term this is, where the rural-urban is. How do you run away from urban agrarian distress? You come to some shanty area of the urban. So what is this transition politics of precarity, which has its rootedness in agriculture, but then runs to some urban centers and somehow wants to get somewhere?
The BJP is already thinking of Bihar later this year. It's already looking at Bengal next year. It's already thinking ahead. And the opposition is still struggling to figure out what happened in Maharashtra.
On Delhi election results spoke of Bihar. He praised, just now, he praised Nitish Kumar, which I thought was quite significant because the main challenge for the NDA in Bihar is the falling popularity of Nitish Kumar. 20 years anti-incumbency.
I mean, can you imagine the Congress praising Kejriwal? I mean, these are tactics. They may not, you may or may not actually believe it, but it's election tactics. One thing I do want to ask you, just have a look at how this is a kind of a revolutionary change, how the Delhi dichotomy is now over. For years, AAP has dominated assembly elections. Just look at on the left side, AAP and the BJP way above. And look at on the right, the dichotomy when it comes to the Lok Sabha, BJP way above AAP. This is the first time now in assembly, but it's not dominating like that, it's neck and neck actually, just a 3% difference.
Right.
But that's gone. And I just wanted to ask you, in elections, when a voter decides who to vote for, which party, it has to fulfill two conditions. It must have a program that is important to the voter, like let's say corruption. It's important, everywhere they go, we're getting corruption. But second criteria is one party must be better at handling it than the other. If both are equally corrupt, it's not an election issue. It's an important issue to me. So far, Kejriwal had that huge advantage, that he was seen to be less corrupt and corruption important and one party's. Do you think that has been eroded by these charges, whether they're true or not, but did they have an impact and they're all corrupt?
Well, I think the Aam Aadmi Party did lose its distinction, right?
That's the point, yes.
Just like it used to be said BJP's party was different, nobody says anymore. Now Aam Aadmi Party has become, the popular phrase everyone uses is Kejriwal became more of a politician than politicians, right? At the same time, was corruption an issue this election? Did people move away to BJP because of Sheesh Mahal? I think all the media reporting I saw said Sheesh Mahal is not an issue. Okay,
no, actually, that is an important point. They may not have moved away to the BJP, but they may have said now, no point, don't vote for AAP because it is also a corrupt party. So
I think the voter did not care either way. They didn't care that.
While earlier they would have voted for AAP on corruption.
Yeah. When corruption was an issue. Today I think in this election the main issue was Bijli Sadak Pani. It was.
Yeah, please.
No, I think that the development of the city in terms of infrastructure, in terms of roads, it was really a very major issue with a lot of Delhiites, because there is a large part of Delhi which is under CPWD, so that the central government takes care of, but rest of the whole city was under PWD, under Mr. Kejriwal, and the city's roads are so bad that in fact the CAG report says that in 2015 2,300 crore was given by the Center for Infrastructure Development, which somehow they could not use for anything else, and they returned it back in 2021. So there were such issues like this which also have played a very important role. That
clear distinction between the two parties.
Between the two, and also in terms of when it came to giving to those who are marginalized or the welfare schemes. I think Bharatiya Janata Party has a very good track record, especially in terms of direct benefit transfer. Right. Directly,
So she's rightly pointed out, because the NDMC, which is looking after CPWD, of course, that comes under that. The area which you see, Lutyens Delhi, which also consisting of your Delhi Kent constituency, New Delhi, and also the part of Andrews Ganj and other place, RK Puram, of course. RK Puram is also South Delhi. So these constituencies are, when we go out of Lutyens Delhi, I go out of my Satyamag house, I see Delhi going way beyond. I see roads, are terrible. The moment I move from Dhaula Kuan to ITC and other places, I feel that I'm very comfortable, and the roads are very clear, the amenities are very clear. NDMC is playing a great role in that. So there's a clear comparison, and that's how the middle class voter and the service class voter has shifted.
Have you heard what Dorab says about the Jamna, that you're going to clean up the Jamna while...
Of course, that's the first agenda which Vijay Panda has taken up.
Which you...
So why have you cleaned the Ganga after all these years?
Look at the budget. See the Ganga, why look and talk about it? Don't talk about it then.
No.
It's in terrible shape.
I have answer to that.
Check of the pollution.
We were on 240 for that reason. If you're counting people voting against your promises, then we had 240 seats in parliament.
But they believe you about Jamna. That's what he's saying.
No,
Should
that's
they
okay.
believe you?
So people, see, I'll tell you, when you go to slums, people say, people believe in promises. I'm telling you. This is a clear fact
hope.
that,
There's some hope at least.
Yeah.
Kuch to hai.
No, I must tell you that there are two things, Dr. Roy, that, when I go to slums or other people go to slums or the journalists or YouTubers go to slums, people have a clear understanding कि इस MLA ने कुछ नहीं किया है, हमको तो जो घर बना के दे देगा हम उसको, और जो हमारी झुग्गी झोपड़ी पक्की कर देगा हम उसको वोट देंगे. अब कोई आएगा और मैं आके बोलूँ, निधि बोले कि मैं दे दूंगी, तो निधि भी कहेगी मैं भी दे दूंगी. So people have a very, it's very unpredictable.
Correct.
It's a very silent way of voting in Delhi.
Can I add one thing that we've still not discussed, and that is progressively since the Lok Sabha elections.
Let me tell you, you are the only academic, analytical person around here. So please say more.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
I'm so sorry. So let me be
So sorry. We are happy to have that.
Oh, thank you. So the BJP dealt with bossism within its party. Look at the number of tickets it cut for its sitting members of parliament, and some of those people who were not given a ticket or not repeated were not seen campaigning even in this election. Our member of parliament, Meenakshi Lekhi, she was denied a ticket. Ramesh Biduri, who was supposed to be so close to the Prime Minister when the Prime Minister came, that famous SRCC meeting organized in Delhi University where the Prime Minister spoke about a beehive economy, etc. Now they speak about the circular economy.
But if you look at their sitting MLAs, there weren't too many, did better than their new candidates. And that's also true about the Aam Aadmi Party. 40% of their sitting did well, new candidates only 23% won. BJP almost 90% of sitting, but they were only 8.
Not just the MLAs, the bossy leaders, I think. Factionalism within the BJP was dealt with effectively, though behind the curtains. That's what I
think the actual biggest issue that we haven't discussed in this hour is the fact that Aam Aadmi Party was just not allowed to govern. It was they had their hands tied. The Delhi Services Bill, and even before that, the bureaucracy not answerable to them.
This is a key point.
This is the key point.
But it worked.
It worked, yes, for sure, it worked.
But if I'm a voter, I'm not bothered about the fact there's politics going on.
The
I'm
voter
just
is
bothered
selfish,
about
and
nothing is
rightly so.
delivered.
The voter needs to get his work done,
Correct,
or her
that's
work
right,
done.
that's right.
But how many chances one can give you, 2 terms are, largely
I think
enough.
what he's saying, Shivam Vij is saying is an important point. Is this a signal that if you interrupt the democratic process by governors or LGs, it works? So is that a signal for other states?
Yeah.
And not just for the BJP. If the Congress can do it, they'll do it. If anybody,
But
politicians are all the same.
Traditionally, governors have been political appointees even during the Congress time.
Yes,
they played political games. But increasingly, we are seeing them cross new red lines. You're seeing that whether look at Tamil Nadu.
This is not about governors.
No.
This is
This is about governors overstepping and even with full states they're overstepping. In Delhi, it's a completely
in Tamil Nadu, the
different
governor, even if he tries, cannot stall projects.
But he stalled bills for 3 years.
Only that is the only thing he can do.
That's bad enough.
That is bad enough. But even that, it's not as if every law is being stalled.
No, of course. In Delhi, it's at another level.
Over here, the MLA cannot get the road built because he says LG ne file nahi clear kari.
Yeah, it's extreme here. Will governors go that way? That's the worry.
I think when Sheila Dikshit ji was the chief minister, it was from 1998-99 to 2013. So there was a time when she was the chief minister, and at the center it was the BJP which was ruling.
Who was the Prime Minister then?
Mr.
Vajpayee.
Right?
That is your answer.
No, that is not the point. The point is that there was a situation where at the center and at the Delhi there were 2 different political parties who were ruling, but we never saw this kind of a attitude towards the the type of conflict that was brought. And one example I would want to put here: in Delhi University there are 12 colleges which are fully 100% funded by Delhi government. Never ever it had happened at the time when even Sheila Dikshit ji was the chief minister that there was any shortage of funds. Rather, there was always surplus of funds available to these colleges, vis-a-vis respect to other colleges. They have been, the teachers have not been getting their salary. The non-teaching, many of them had to break their PF because they are getting their salaries almost after 3 to 4 months. This Deepavali, the teachers did not get their salary in these 12 colleges. This is against human rights of a person. And this is Aam Aadmi Party, which was not, they are not releasing the funds. In fact, Atishi had to...
from the LG or something. Everybody is blaming
each
other.
That is not the case at all.
Probably
it is not possible.
And that is why voters in Delhi were fed up of this. And they said, okay, we might as well bring BJP.
And there were people
so there's
who were
no
saying
tension at least.
every time there is a...
But is that a signal for others? That is the problem. Can we move on to something which is, Dorab's top area? Exit polls. Look at what happened with exit polls this time.
Very good, actually.
That's what, have a look.
Access My India got it bang on, actually.
Yeah,
actually many of them did, but Access to India did very well. Look at that. And we all thought, oh, they're exaggerating, but they actually got 48 seats, not 39.
Correct, that's right.
48 to
Axis
22.
and Lokniti CSDS both got the vote shares pretty spot on.
Yes, yes.
That is
Conversion to seats is a bit tough because of margin. But had you given up faith in polls, or did you do these? I think you did this. Had you given up faith in polls before this? Is it renewed?
No, polls are very, very difficult to do in tight context. Just very, very difficult to get right. If you get it right, I think it's the woman above who helps you.
The woman above.
You don't, you do
Good
the
one,
best you
Dorab,
can, but
thank
finally, it just is an extremely difficult thing to do. Exit polls are easier than regular polls, but they're still very, very difficult to do.
This is voice of sagacity, so refreshing. Look at the assertions and certitude in the voice of the exit posters. I got it right, my numbers are right. It's like amazing.
And he says up to them.
Sage life.
The lady
It's up to
above,
them.
the woman above will
Our
decide
lady.
whether you are in luck this year or not.
Yeah.
But just quickly on this question of alliances again, Vandita Mishra, just to be the devil's advocate here, a party like the Congress, which has been in a fair degree of trouble since 2014, with doing slightly better in the last general election, but it's obviously also looking at its own revival, right? It also needs to look at how it can rebuild itself. And therefore, is there a section of the party you sense that is looking at that from a long-term perspective, that even if that means more short-term losses, that we need to look at how we can rebuild ourselves and not depend on alliances necessarily to see us through? Is there some sort of logic in that?
That seems to be the gamble. I don't know if it is thought out, but it seems to be the direction in which the Congress is moving. But then if it wants to do a go it alone, then it needs also ideas, and it needs leaders. It needs to give new faces a chance. It needs to take other risks as well. Just going it alone and not dealing with allies is not going to be enough. It needs to take other risks, which at the moment we are not seeing any sign of.
And if you had to stick your neck out and predict what course Kejriwal might take for the AAP and his revival, what do you think that would be? Would he make an interesting opposition in Delhi? Will we see a lot of drama? Will we see him as a fierce opposition on the streets, because he's not a legislator anymore? But do you see that playing out in Delhi now?
I think so. I think this is an opportunity for Kejriwal. I think Kejriwal had lost the plot, his party lost the plot. They were also under a great deal of pressure from the center and the LG, but there was an inner abdication, internal abdication. I think this is a moment for him to, go back to the drawing board and to revive his strengths, which is that, he is a street fighter, and he has to get back to thinking where AAP goes next, the next steps. I think AAP took some steps in its first term and then stalled. It has to now take the next steps.
Manisha, Prem, forget all the votes, percentages. Perhaps the biggest trauma of this election for the Aam Aadmi Party was the Chief Minister and Sisodia and Saurabh Bhardwaj losing. I mean, that former Chief Minister losing this election, the leader of their party losing. That is a major indicator.
Satyendra Jain.
Satyendra Jain, all of them. I mean, really major leaders losing.
So that's they didn't have the electoral strategy. It's not just about, they didn't think they were fighting an election. Abhimanyu's Chakravyuh, what's the big lesson? That you've got to think about how to get into the last circle. So all their big leaders were doubling up as election candidates. Was there a reserve of leaders who could have done the campaigning? Raghav Chadda not to be seen. 3-4 good people expelled for various reasons. One of their women leaders elevated to the Rajya Sabha as an elder statesman, decides to walk over to the other side. So I think alliance on one side. Suppose Priyanka Gandhi had been doing a one-on-one campaigning, the woman vote would have been consolidated. She was not fighting this election. Why did Kejriwal need to fight this election? I can't understand this.
He could have campaigned
He
everywhere.
could have just campaigned. You don't do these things when you know this is the strategy on the other
Interesting
side.
point, yeah.
You just don't fight the election. You do other things. You would have lost anyways. And Kejriwal is smart enough with numbers. Remember, he is the original master of this kind of micro.
IIT.
Yeah, I mean, he could have just not fought this election. Almost,
So the top two people, IIT and Rhodes Scholar. Atish is a Rhodes Scholar.
So, just to add here that our party president Virendra Sachdeva hasn't fought parliamentary election, hasn't fought this election.
That's the good point. Actually.
That doesn't equate the understanding of you not getting anything in future. You have to somewhere surrender for the party's sake.
Doesn't prevent him from being an effective
Yeah.
opposition.
Yes.
From IIT, but somehow he never took any ministry in charge. He didn't take, although I'm being an IIT and it was expected he could have done much better.
You're also IIT.
No, I'm not from IIT, but I mean, considering
Being
that
an
being an
IITian,
IITian, he always projected that, and I remember that during the before the Lok Sabha election, Aam Aadmi Party was trying to project this regarding Prime Minister's educational qualification and Kejriwal's educational qualification. They were trying to put a kind of a competition between the two. So but somehow it didn't work, and somehow the point was, the counter was that why he has, considering that he's from one of the best technology institutes of the country, why is it that he has not taken any ministerial berth and shown his work?
Maybe because he can have only 7-8 ministers and he has a lot of ministries to give. It's very easy in hindsight to criticize, but there are all kinds of compulsions. If he had not contested New Delhi, if he said I'm not contesting, everybody would have said, oh, he's conceding defeat, haar gaya. The result would have been even worse.
Also in terms of defeat, I think the kind of policy making that they were doing, it is very interesting to note that the think tank of Delhi government, which is called as Delhi Dialogue Commission, they had a MOU. They had an MOU with Abhijit Banerjee's Poverty Lab.
Yes.
And all the policy making was being done there. We do not know how much of Delhi data was going out to. Where was it going? After all, the Poverty Lab is a private entity. What was so special about having a MOU with them? And in fact, the person who was leading the Delhi Dialogue Commission, I'm forgetting now, he's a spokesperson of Aam Aadmi Party. He earlier had worked. Jasmine Shah was actually working in Poverty Lab for years together, and who was made. So, the kind of policies which were coming where it's only talk about freebies. What kind of a...
We just have Mr. Vijendra Gupta joining us now on DeKoder. He is one of the people who's being talked about as a possible contender to be the next Chief Minister of Delhi. Mr. Gupta, first of all, congratulations for your own victory and for the victory of the BJP today. Are you in the race for the Chief Ministership? I know you'll be diplomatic, but I thought I must ask.
Many congratulations, sir. Many congratulations.
मैं तो प्रणव जी को कहना चाहता हूँ, प्रणव जी आप हैं?
जी हाँ, जी हाँ. I just said congratulations to you.
याद होगा आपने मेरा इंटरव्यू किया था.
Right.
तो मैंने आपको उस दिन 2 चीज कही थी कि केजरीवाल हारेंगे.
Correct.
और दूसरा कहा था कि बीजेपी की 50 सीट्स आएंगी.
Correct. You were two seats wrong. You got only 48.
नहीं मतलब उसके नजदीक ही है अराउंड, मतलब ट्रेंड तो वही निकला ना.
बिल्कुल.
और फिर केजरीवाल हारेंगे ये भी. जी एक्चुअली क्या है कि आम आदमी पार्टी ना समझ नहीं रही थी कि वो लोगों को एक तरह से फेडअप कर रही है, झूठ बोल के ड्रामेटिक सारा पूरा नॉन सीरियस कैंपेन, नॉन सीरियस बातें, गवर्नेंस के नाम पे सिर्फ लोगों को फूल कर बनाना, मतलब एक तरह बेवकूफ बनाना. तो लोग ये सब समझ रहे थे और अब स्थिति आ गई थी कि वो एक्सपोज हो चुके थे और तभी ये इतना बड़ा. अदरवाइज दिल्ली का में इस तरह का रिजल्ट आना, अभी इसके बीच में कितने इलेक्शंस हुए आप देखिए. बीजेपी जो है जी
this result is a big responsibility for you because you have promised a lot. You'll improve the roads, you will improve the Jamna, you'll do a lot of things, give away a lot. So a lot of responsibility also now, right?
जी बिल्कुल ठीक है आपने.
लेकिन क्या वो वादे पूरे होंगे विजेंद्र जी?
100%,
कब
100%।
तक आप एक डेडलाइन दे सकते हैं? कम से कम एयर पोल्यूशन का तो बताइए। वो किसी ने बात ही नहीं करी एयर पोल्यूशन के बारे में, लेकिन फिर भी हम पूछ रहे हैं।
नहीं नहीं, प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने अभी बोला एयर पोल्यूशन के बारे में, आपने उनकी स्पीच सुनी हो तो उन्होंने स्पेसिफिकली बोला है कि दिल्ली की जो जो प्रॉब्लम्स है, एयर पोल्यूशन है, यमुना का पूरा जो यमुना पूरी तरह से कंटेमिनेटेड है, एक तरह से गंदा नाला ही बन गई है। फिर उसके बाद उन्होंने सीवर ओवरफ्लोइंग की बात की है, कंटेमिनेटेड वाटर की बात की है, तमाम वो समस्या, टूटी सड़कों की बात की है। तो हमें अपने प्रोमिसेस याद हैं, और प्रोमिसेस क्या, ये तो जरूरी है दिल्ली के लिए। अगर हम डेवलप दिल्ली की बात कर रहे हैं तो फिर ये सब तो जरूरी है। इसको तो ये बेसिक रिक्वायरमेंट है, बेसिक एम्यूनिटीज है, सिविक एम्यूनिटीज हैं, तो इनको ओवरलुक नहीं किया जा सकता। और ये हमारी फर्स्ट प्रायोरिटी है, इसको सेटल डाउन करना।
तो विजेंद्र जी,
इसको एक इंटरनेशनल स्टैंडर्ड की सिटी बनाना है हमको,
राइट,
तो उसके लिए तो ये बेसिक रिक्वायरमेंट है।
I wanted to ask you, Vijendra ji, I wanted to ask you about your real boss, your wife Shobha ji. She is an amazing, she's your real boss. So apparently her campaigning was very effective, very on the ground, helped a lot of people. Tell us a bit about her, how important her role is in this election.
ये इसमें तो नो डाउट कि शोभा के बगैर तो पॉसिबल नहीं है कुछ मेरे लिए। और वो एक तरह से पूरे मेरे कैंपेन का इंचार्ज, अगर मैं कहूँ सही मायनों में, तो शोभा जी थी।
जस्ट से बॉस।
और उन्होंने, हाँ, ग्राउंड वर्क जो है उनका बहुत डीप है, माइक्रो लेवल है
ग्राउंड वर्क, यस।
और उनकी एनजीओ है संपूर्णा,
राइट,
वो बहुत लोगों के लिए हेल्पफुल है।
and
तो
very
एक पर्सनल कनेक्ट है हमारा लोगों से,
very connected with the people on a day-to-day basis. That's what you were saying earlier.
शोभा जी,
हाँ जी, हाँ जी,
जो शीला दीक्षित जी से भी वो काम करवा लेती थी, वो तो अरविंद जी के यहाँ से भी काम करा लाती थी।
विजेंद्र जी, मुख्यमंत्री कौन बन रहा है दिल्ली का? मुख्यमंत्री कौन बनेगा?
पार्टी में बीजेपी के 48 एमएलए हैं, उन्हीं में से कोई एक बनेगा।
तो आप भी क्या उम्मीदवार हैं?
नहीं, हमारे यहाँ उम्मीदवार नहीं होता कोई, पार्टी डिसाइड करती है, वो वही सीएम होता है, उम्मीदवार कोई नहीं होता।
No, but there's one thing. 2 elections ago, the BJP won just 3 seats, and you were one of those 3. And you won last time, and you won this time.
हाँ जी, हाँ जी, हाँ जी।
तो आपके चांसेस तो अच्छे हैं।
And you were leader of the opposition, so probability. Party president.
I think we've just started his chances.
हाँ जी, हाँ जी, हाँ जी।
But we don't want to stress on this. It cut your chances if we stress on it.
I had great working with you. I'm Tina Sharma. मेरे प्रदेश अध्यक्ष होते थे और मैंने इनके साथ काम किया, बहुत ही जेनरस, और जो काम मांगने जाता था, मैं भी ऐसे काम मांगने गई थी तो मुझे एक एनजीओ सेल का अध्यक्ष बना दिया था इन्होंने। तो he has been very kind and he is a very popular leader amongst every कार्यकर्ता.
So you're ruining his chances even more by saying this.
मैंने प्रणोदा को उस दिन बोला था कि मैं जो है प्रो इनकम्बेंसी पे इलेक्शन लड़ रहा हूँ, और ये लोगों ने मुझे हाईएस्ट मार्जिन दिया है। तो मैंने कभी अपने अपोजिट कैंडिडेट के बारे में कुछ नहीं,
He's in the car. The signal is
अपना
going.
कैंपेन किया।
He's coming back, I think. Just the.
He'll be home soon. He'll be home soon.
Where we did get him for a few minutes.
He's back. He's back. 1 second. Sorry, sir. We just lost you for a bit. If you could just repeat for a second.
हाँ जी, मैं यही कहना चाहता हूँ कि मैंने प्रो इनकम्बेंसी पे इलेक्शन लड़ा है।
Right.
और अपने परफॉर्मेंस के बेसिस पे लोगों ने उसको अपना एक तरह से मुझे आशीर्वाद दिया है और हाईएस्ट मार्जिन से मुझे जिताया है। ये मेरे लिए इमोशनल।
Right, right. Many congratulations, and thank you for joining us.
लोग मुझे मैं लोगों को समझा पाया।
Right.
तो मुझे अच्छा लग रहा है कि मैंने प्रो इनकम्बेंसी पे इलेक्शन लड़ा है.
It is a very emotional moment for you. Many congratulations. Many congratulations.
65% वोट मुझे मिला है पोल्ड वोट का.
My gosh, that is phenomenal.
तो ये इससे खुशी की बात मेरे लिए क्या हो सकती है.
Right, right. Congratulations and thank you so much for joining us. Now responsibility, any road problem will all come to you.
We call
Definitely welcome, always welcome. Always welcome.
Thank you. God bless you. God bless you. Thank you. Oh, actually, we'll go to your boss.
Okay.
Right. Thank you.
Quick last comments. Let's ask you. What?
I ask questions.
So who's winning Bihar? That's the next question.
He knows. Only Dorab knows this.
No.
The experts are here actually.
They are
Analytical.
I have just stolen all the pages from that book, the verdict.
Oh. That's the best thing you could say.
Yeah, and I'm going to quote and cite from the verdict for the Bihar elections. So definitely BJP is on the ascendant, and this would be sunset Samajwadi, but also a reincarnation of the BJP in having understood. Remember, they entered Bihar with Nanaji Deshmukh and Karpuriji together. They had launched a newspaper called Matribhumi, at the launch of which I have photographs where JP, Nanaji Deshmukh and Karpuri sat together. But soon enough, the bonhomie of that moment was lost and split asunder because reservations were introduced and the Karpuri formula was introduced in the Bihar Assembly. There's a full circle to that politics. The big boss is now the BJP. It's a Karpuri largely in the background of the politics. That's the palimpsest, so to say.
I must say, when we went around Bihar, the leadership quality is very, very good. I mean, Mr. Paswan's son, very articulate, very dynamic, very charismatic. And so is Lalu's son. You know, they're, I think, a slightly higher category than many of the other states. We won't go into which ones, but very high category. And even the voters are very smart in Bihar.
So remember, always I keep talking about the not so well-known leaders, and they are the ones who won on the
voters. Why is it the poorest state? That's
one
a
second.
mystery.
So there are the
Because
CPIML
they all
leaders.
come to Delhi and Calcutta. They go
So
out.
there are the CPIML leaders who've,
That's a good question, actually.
The sitting home, the erstwhile Home Secretary and sitting Power Minister R.K. Singh was defeated by a CPIML leader.
You were saying CPML does well there.
Does
Yes,
very well.
does very well now.
I think if Chehre ki Rajniti cedes to people's politics, that's going to be the space for the opposition.
Shivam, you agree? Advantage.
No, I think
he doesn't agree with anybody.
I think Bihar is 7-8 months away.
Today,
Bihar is 7-8 months away. 1 week is a long time in politics.
Oh, yes.
It's the question Bihar is Nitish Kumar is facing 4 term anti-incumbencies. He's actually been sworn in 8 times in the last 20 years. He changes alliance partners every 2-3 years.
It works.
Even a month ago, Lalu was saying, "Please come back. I'll take you." So Nitish Kumar, who is said to be facing serious health issues, is aging. People want change. Young people are restless.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a cakewalk for NDA in Bihar. Just because BJP's won Delhi today, it's not going to be easy. I
must say, I also heard the health issues. We met him in the Lok Sabha election. Didn't seem to have it, but we could have not. Maybe our judgment was wrong. What do you feel?
I think it's time to call it a night.
And
For
us or for Nitish Kumar?
Don't open the Eastern Front.
Shocking.
Don't open the Eastern Front yet.
Right, yes.
That's in a few months. But thank you very much to all of you for joining us, taking us through this fascinating election in Delhi. On to the next one.
And Vandita Mishra also, thank you
Thank you,
very
Vandita
much
Mishra.
indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you.